Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel if you're new here. My name is Bella and today we are in my bathroom. I am such a huge fan of interior design. I love switching up my spaces, trying out new colors, new patterns, new arrangements of things, and I have to say the bathroom is one of my absolute favorite places to do this because I think it's one of the most neglected rooms in a lot of people's houses. We tend to just treat them very utilitarianly, and I just don't think that that has to be the case. So today I want to show you how I kind of took my very maximalist style and made that work in my very small bathroom. There's not a ton of space to work with, especially because this bathroom has absolutely no storage. It does honestly feel like I'm doing an interior design puzzle every time I pick out a new piece for my bathroom, and it's taken a little while to kind of get it to be exactly how it is now, which I think, if I do say so myself, is pretty perfect. So if you also are a maximalist, I'm going to share with you some tips in this video on how I was able to really express my personal style in this bathroom without taking up too much space. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to talk about is this cabinet right behind me. I saw this cabinet at the thrift store. It was kind of like a dark wood, almost the same color as the door actually. It's not old, it's definitely a newer piece of furniture, but I thought that the lines were really, really beautiful and simple. And I figured if I painted it, it could maybe kind of pass for a piece of like primitive furniture. It's definitely not trying to look antique, but I think it does sort of have the vibe of like a primitive jam cupboard or something like that. I really love that it has glass doors. That's one thing that I really love repeating in this room because I think reflective surfaces are such a great thing to use in really small spaces. So I love that this had that little bit of reflection in the glass doors. I painted the entire outside this black color. I think this is a chalk paint, I'm not too sure. The inside is this really, really beautiful blue. This is one of my absolute favorite paint colors. It's Kensington Green by Benjamin Moore. I was gonna paint my bedroom with this color, but I ultimately ended up deciding that it was just a little bit too bright for in there. Maybe I'll change my mind one day, but with the little color sample that I bought, I've just been touching up a few little things. So I painted the inside of my bedside table with this color, and then I did the inside of this cupboard as well, and I think it's just a really nice little pop of color when you look through here, and I think it plays really nicely off the black as well. So that's another amazing thing to utilize if you really do like a maximalist feel in a small space, is injecting as much color as you can wherever you can. So something simple like this, if you have any sort of open shelving in a small space, maybe paint the shelving a statement color like this, or wallpaper or something like that would be so gorgeous. This has also really been beneficial for me for storage. One major thing that I try to keep in mind in my bathroom is anything that is utility, I need it to be pretty. It's such a small space and I don't have a vanity, so there isn't a lot of like closed storage in here because I just don't have the space for it. So anything that I can make a little bit more visually appealing so that I can be okay with it sitting out, I'm gonna do that. So for example, let's take a look at what's in here. I have this gorgeous salt holder. This is one that like hangs on your wall. I got this for a really, really good price at the antique store. I think it was like $4 because the hinges that attach the little lid to it were broken. So I made this switch in the past year or two, I would say, to using only bar soap because I like the feel of bar soap. I like the look of it. I like that it doesn't have any packaging waste. I really like to buy soap that either comes in just cardboard packaging or no packaging at all, and it's just so fun to buy. There are so many gorgeous soaps out there. They're a lot more affordable a lot of times than soap that comes in like plastic containers as well, so that's an added plus. And then you get to display them in a beautiful antique dish like this. I keep my perfumes in here, small perfumes in this little glass box. You can find these at the thrift store all the time. Again, it's just something that looks really pretty sitting on a shelf, and it serves a purpose as well. I have some room sprays in here. I really love to buy the sand and fog ones. It's very important for a bathroom to smell good. Another switch from something just really utility and boring being a lighter. I love lighting candles, and I've started allowing myself to burn them in my bathroom, which is just like so luxurious to put a candle on just because I'm standing here washing my face. I just love that. And so what could be better than striking a match before you light a candle? There's something so satisfying about the Redbird match containers. They're just so classic, and I love that the packaging after all this time has remained very like visually appealing and not in any sort of like gross colors and fonts. I'm such a freak. I really do care about those kinds of things. I like to have my candles open, so I really don't like keeping lids on candles. I don't know why, it's just when I take them off to burn them, I feel like I just have extra clutter sitting around, and then I lose track of where the lids are and all these things. And I also really like to be able to smell the candle when it's not burning, if you just like kind of walk by it, or I like to keep them on my bedside table so I can just kind of get like a little waft at nighttime when I'm sleeping. And so any of the random candle lids that I have lying around go in this little cut crystal dish. It's just, I don't know, another use for all those random trinket dishes and boxes and tins that I find at the thrift store that I really need to buy. And then I have this really fun vintage ball jar that I just keep like incense sticks in. This cabinet also comes with this little shelf on the bottom, which I love. Just again, more storage. I have a couple body sprays that are just like ugly Bath and Body Works ones. These do not look cute sitting out. In my opinion, they don't suit my decor at all. So I have this really pretty woven basket that I thrifted, and it slides perfectly into this bottom shelf. Every time I'm at the thrift store, I always check the jar section, and I've started specifically looking for glass jars made in Italy. I don't know why, it's just fun to have like a collection of one specific type of thing, something to search for every time you're thrifting. For these, I just have coconut oil, and then I just emptied a bunch of half-filled lotion bottles that I had that were really ugly, and again, lying around, taking up space, just being ugly. Most of them were unscented, so I just threw them all in here and then put a bunch of essential oils that I like in here, like cedar, lemon, patchouli, that kind of thing. Mixed it all up, and now it's this beautiful scented lotion. Something else that I really want to talk about is plants. If you are somebody that thinks that you can't take care of plants, you just kill them all the time, if you can never remember to water them, I am also that person. I'm also a gardener and a florist, so you would think that I could take care of a houseplant, but I cannot. The only way I've been able to do this is keeping plants in my bathroom right where there's a sink. I was feeling pretty good about myself because I kept a cyclamen alive for almost a year. I was feeling pretty good about that as a lazy houseplant person. So I started slowly adding more plants in here. So I now have a wire vine that's up behind you. You can't see it, but it's just one of the most charming plants. I love them. And then my mom also gave me this beautiful ivy. We had this outside all summer, so it had loads of time to grow and get beautiful. And now I'm gonna try my best to keep it alive all throughout the winter until next summer. Another really beautiful addition to the bathroom that just started blooming today, which is why I thought I would get this video filmed as soon as possible, is this beautiful double petal amaryllis. I love amaryllis bulbs. They're just like the most Christmassy thing ever to me. And this is a really particularly nice variety because it does have the double petals. So it just means that it has twice as many petals as a regular one. So it's twice as much beauty, basically. This is like basically blooming right before my eyes. Every time I come in here, they're more open. I just absolutely love the way that they look. Another hack for remembering to water your plants is to have something that kind of romanticizes the process of taking care of them. So for me, that is this little enamel pot that I got at the antique store. It's very much worn out on the outside and the inside, so it's not really something that I would actually use to like cook with. It's also so small, I don't know what I would do with it, but it has this really beautiful like apple sort of design on the sides. Again, I just love the colors. It was one of those that was just like instantly, yes, you're coming home with me. It was like $3. These things don't have to be expensive, and you're giving something beautiful like this a second life. So I use this to water my plants, and another addition that I just recently started doing is collecting excess water. So when I'm letting the water heat up, which I don't do every time I wash my face because I do think it's quite wasteful, but I will say it does get like -20 to -30 Celsius here in the winter, so sometimes you need hot water. And when the water's heating up, I've decided that I want to start collecting that water and reusing it to the best of my abilities. So I thought a good place to start is to at least solely water my plants with water that would have otherwise been wasted. So I've got this beautiful copper pot, and I've just been plopping it in my sink when I'm letting the water run, and then taking my little enamel pot and scooping it out. There's just something very, very romantic and like analog, as stupid as that sounds, about this whole process, and it's made me really excited to water my plants. The next thing that I want to talk about is textiles in the bathroom. I'm sure if you are subscribed to this channel or enjoy my content, you're probably also a textile lover like I am. I'm a seamstress, and so just naturally I like being surrounded by fabric. I'm very gravitated towards just being around textiles. So if this is also you, don't deprive yourself of really beautiful towels and just incorporating textiles into whatever you want to or whatever you can in the bathroom. So these are 2 hand towels that I have right now. This is a Turkish towel that I got from HomeSense. I think it's seen better days, honestly, so I'm not sure if I'm going to purchase these again. What I would really like to start finding is a collection of linen hand towels at the thrift store. So that's one thing that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for. But this is another one that I think is just really sweet. I love the combination of pink and red together. This is just a dish towel that I thrifted, and it's just like you don't have to have ugly terry cloth in your bathroom. If you thrift and if you're kind of resourceful with that kind of stuff, if you don't mind buying secondhand, then there's a lot of options for you. So just get creative and keep your eyes open, because you really don't have to do the status quo thing, especially in a bathroom. I feel like people don't get creative enough, so think outside the box. Speaking of thinking outside the box, I don't like my shower. I have just a regular circle, like standalone shower. I don't know what you call it, but not very attractive to look at. So what I did was I put a curtain up right there to hide my shower. This curtain was, I think, $9 maybe at the thrift store, maybe less. And I actually got it in the linen section. I thought that it was a duvet cover because of all of the fabric that was there. And then when I went to hang it up and see how much fabric I actually had, if I needed to cut it apart, where I needed to sew, if I needed to do anything like that, and I realized it's actually a curtain that somebody's made from sheeting fabric. So it's like double wide, which is perfect, and then had a small channel on the top, which was the perfect size for the rod that I was using, and it just touches the floor. It was exactly the perfect length. So that turned out to be pretty perfect. I was worried that it might feel too closed in, but that's another thing. If you're working with a small space, don't scale everything down. A lot of times I think people think this is a small space, so everything I put in here also needs to be small. I don't think that's true at all. I think you just need to be pretty like meticulous about what you allow to bring into your space. Be really intentional, and don't be afraid to make big statements, because a lot of times they can actually make the space feel bigger. Really, I just about cut this room in half, but I feel so much happier in here. I feel like there's more to look at. I feel like there's more space for me to express my style, and to me and the way that like I respond to interiors, that makes the space feel bigger. Fabric in the bathroom, do it. Behind the curtain also, back here, this is where I hang up my towels. Up here I have a shelf that I keep cleaning supplies on, and then I have a laundry basket back there as well for dirty towels. I really like that all of that stuff that's, again, very utility, has a designated zone, and it's kind of dark back there. There's not a lot of light coming through, so it's not as noticeable. It just kind of like fades into the background. In terms of storing very small things, again, because I don't have a vanity, I just have this little bedside table that I put beside my sink, and then I draped over a beautiful handmade lace table runner over top of it. I layered it up with my beautiful soap dish. And again, that's another pro of using bar soap, is that you now have the opportunity to get yourself a beautiful soap dish. Keeping a zone off to the side of the sink means that I don't have any unnecessary, like, utilitarian clutter on top of my sink. So I keep every like small thing that is ugly to have sitting out in this little table, like toothbrushes, washcloths, hairbrush, all that kind of stuff. Basically anything that I reach for when I'm at the sink, that goes in there. I think I'm just going to touch on a few more little tips to kind of maximize your space. So I mentioned mirrors earlier. I have 2 small mirrors, one on my skincare sort of cupboard, and then one that's just freestanding. I used to have my perfumes on it. It's this beautiful carved wooden mirror that my mom got me for Christmas last year. It's one of my favorite gifts I've ever got. Again, it's a really big statement for this room. And the fact that I've layered up so many mirrors and so many things on the walls, I think, is what really makes the space feel like not your average bathroom. So lots of reflective surfaces, lots of glass, lots of mirror, lots of space for storage on the walls with shelves and little cabinets. These are things that I find at the thrift store all the time, and you can get them for under $10 a lot of times. This little one on the wall here, I keep all of my essential oils in, and it was just kind of like a dingy wooden cupboard. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't old enough that it was like interesting, but it wasn't new enough to be sleek and modern. So I just covered it with some green folk art paint. I just mixed up this very pretty, like, kind of Irish cottage green color that I love, and I love it. I think it's super charming, and it's the perfect space to store a bunch of really little things that would just otherwise look really messy if they were sitting out. Above where you are, on top of my window, I have just a plank that's been stained and then has polyurethane on it just to give it kind of like a glossy look. Up there I have baskets, again, that I thrifted. I'm always collecting baskets. They're just such an amazing thing to have on hand when you're having like an organizing day. So up there I have things like all of my extra candles that I don't want to have out, toiletry bags. One basket has these reusable bamboo wipes. They're kind of like paper towels, but you can wash them and use them again. So after I'm done using one of those, I pop it in that basket and then wash them all. And then the last basket has empty product bottles, something that really stops me from keeping my bathroom clean and keeping like garbage and excess stuff under control here is putting off recycling product bottles because I want to recycle them properly. So empty them out, wash them, remove all the labels, separate the compartments, all those kinds of things. I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to that. I just know myself. I know they're just going to keep sitting around, and so I'd rather have them contained in one spot that's tucked out of the way, and then when I have the motivation to do so, I can deal with them all at once and recycle them properly. One last thing. This is the biggest tip I have for creating a maximalist feel in a small space is your walls. I am obsessed with the wall treatment that I've done. Basically, what I did is I thought, I don't want to put wallpaper up. I don't know how that's going to work in a space that has a lot of moisture. I don't want to deal with like damaging the walls, needing to strip it. I also didn't really feel like picking a paint color when you're someone like me who likes so many different colors and could go so many different ways. It's just sometimes really arresting to try to nail down exactly what kind of look you want to go for. I have these really beautiful stamps. They're by the brand Orchid Designs. I'll link the website down below. I don't know if I can find these exact stamps, but just so you have the brand. So every single One of them is hand stamped onto the wall, brushed with paint on the stamp, and stamped on. This took me a few days to do, and I just did little bits at a time, but I'm obsessed with the way that it turned out. I love that it has like a really organic look. It doesn't look super crystal clear, and I didn't have a pattern to it at all, so there's no method behind it. It's all just very random, and I just basically wanted it to look like a really, really old wallpaper, and I think I did that. I also love like the crispness of the black, juxtaposing like how kind of faded some of it is. Having that against all of the wood elements in this room, I also really like, because I didn't have any black in this room until I painted this, did the walls, and then I painted out the little shelf above my toilet as well, just to give it some contrast. I think that's it. I'm obsessed with this space. I want to spend my whole day in this room because it's adorable. This is your encouragement. If you have a bathroom or a random utility space like a pantry or, I don't know, a stairwell, an area of your kitchen that's just like blah, all it does is do its job and it's not bringing you any joy, this is your sign to sit down and think about how you can kind of rework the space, because it really doesn't have to cost a lot of money. This cupboard was $12, the curtain was like $8 or $9, and the rest of it was just small little things that I've thrifted over time that I've been able to swap out. If you just have this space in your mind, take some measurements and keep them with you. Keep a color palette going, things like that, and just slowly start to build. Thrifting and antique markets are the best place to do this. You're just going to be left with the most unique you look ever, because nobody can just go out and buy what you bought in a day. So go forth and design. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration to tackle a utilitarian space in your own home and make it something that you love. If you did, please give it a like down below. That really helps my channel out, and subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this from me. You can always know when I upload if you subscribe. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you back here next time.